We're discussing now some ideas, very important concepts from the laws of human nature. And the one today that I want to talk about is your attitude. I'm not talking about being all sassy and having attitude. I'm talking about your attitude is essentially your lens through which you look at the world. Look at the world, that you see things as you are, but in fact that's not true at all. And so I want you to focus for a moment on all those times in your life when you've been at a crossroads and you have to make a decision, okay? It could be, should I start this business that I wanted to start? Should I sell my business? Should I take on this person to be my business partner? Should I join this company to work for? Should I get involved in the relationship with this woman or man, etc.? Should I have children? Should I write this book, etc., etc., etc.? In all those moments, you're at an important point in your life and you have to make a decision, okay? You go through a process, you think about it, you think, if I do this, bad things could happen. You tend to focus on all the negative. Or what a lot of people do is they think, this is just going to be fantastic. This business I'm going to start is just going to do wonderful. In either case, you go through a process, you kind of look at certain possibilities, and you make your decision. And you think that your decision was rational. You think your decision was based on a methodical process and that you were dealing with reality. But I'm here to say that that is not at all true. Your decision was based on your attitude, how you looked at things, right? I talk in the laws of human nature of different kinds of attitude. One of the most common type is the anxious attitude, where you're anxious about everything that's happening in the world. You're worried about everything. There's the perfectionist attitude, where everything has to be so perfect in your world and you can't stand anything that doesn't mesh with that. On and on and on. There's the grandiose attitude, where you think you're so wonderful that anything you do is going to be fantastic. Being an introvert or an extrovert are very common forms of attitudes that you have. And so, just to give you a couple of examples, let's say, I talk about this in human nature, let's say you come upon a river. You're taking a hike and you come upon a river and you need to cross that river to then continue your hike where it gets even more beautiful. And in that river or creek, let's call it a creek instead, there are rocks to get through and you have to kind of jump over those rocks to get to the other side. One person who has kind of an adventurous attitude, an open, excited, adventurous attitude, will look at those rocks and not hesitate, and he or she will just leap upon them and go off across the other side. Another person will look at them and go, oh my God, it's so wet and it's cold. There's moss on those rocks. If I try to go in there, I'll slip, I'll fall in there. It'll be terrible. Another person will go, I need to get to that other side, but I'm going to figure out the best angle that I can get across there, and then they will do that, okay? There are other ways people will treat it. Some people will just turn around and go, screw it, I'm not going to even bother. In all those cases, the river is the same. It's not any different, but people see it in different ways. They see the same experience in the same way. I talk also about people who travel to another place like Paris, France. One person who's an extrovert loves the French people, loves the language, loves the food. They're so excited to be there, and they meet friends because they're learning the language, they're excited. Paris is fantastic. Another person who's kind of gloomy and anxious, hates all the kind of impolite people there and the bad weather, and they think Paris is awful and gloomy. It's the same city, it's the same stones, it's the same cathedrals, just two people see it differently. So when you're making those decisions in life, you are looking at it through your lens. So if you think of this lens as an aperture of a camera, it either closes or it opens wide. And when you have a closing attitude, like you're negative, you're anxious, you're always seeing the bad side of things, that lens gets very narrow until you only have this kind of single focus, which is all on the negative. And because of that, you lose opportunities. You are the source of your own problems. Because you are anxious and negative and narrow and seeing all the negative things, you make bad decisions. You decide not to start that business when it's actually the best thing that you could do. You decide to take that job that pays so well because you want money, but it's not a job suited to you, etc., etc. You're making bad decisions because of your attitude. If you are open and expansive, if you are not afraid of life, if you think of something as like an adventure, and if I start that business, if I write that book and it fails, so be it. I've learned something, it's fun. It's like if I crossed that river, I leaped across it and I fell, Okay, I got wet, it's a little bit cold, so what? Ha ha ha. It made me tougher. That expansive attitude creates your circumstance. So the idea is you think that you don't have so much control over your life, but you have much more control than you think. Your attitude controls your circumstances. It changes what happens to you. That negative, narrowing, anxious attitude creates bad circumstances, makes you do bad decisions. That open, expansive, adventurous attitude has the opposite effect. So what you must do is you must look at yourself, read that chapter in my book. I believe it's chapter 8, don't quote me on that. And you'll see the different types in there. And you recognize, yes, that is my attitude. Yes, I have a hostile attitude. When I'm dealing with people, I see the negative in them. I'm always thinking that they're about to attack me. I have a hostile attitude, all right? Or I have an anxious attitude. Be aware of it and be aware that you can change it, that you can start slowly to work on it through a process that I talk about in the book. You can alter that attitude and you can slowly open it up so that you have the opposite effect where you're creating positive circumstances. Around you. So I want you to recognize the attitude that you have, see the power that you have in altering it, and actually do the work in trying to expand that attitude of yours. Thank you.